Anything else?
Yes. I'm driving my queer neighbor to Baltimore.
Okay.
Wait. That thing I did for you. How's that looking out?
What you did for me changed my life.
Oh, no thank you, letters.
What I was saying to you in this entire history of my life, which you won't read, is that somehow you have done more for my mother, my son, and me than anyone else ever has. And that makes you the most important, surprising, generous person I've ever met, and you will be in our daily prayers forever.
Love.
I also wrote another part. I'm sorry. I was talking about, I was sorry when you came over and you told my son that he ought to answer back, and so I wrote that. I was sorry for busting you on that, and I'm sorry for busting in on you that night when I said I was sorry, and I'm sorry every time your food was cold and that you had to wait 2 seconds for a coffee filler, and I'm sorry for never spotting right there at the table in the restaurant the human being that had it in him to do this thing for us. You know what? I'm just gonna start from the beginning. I have not been able to express my gratefulness to you. Even as I look at the word grateful now, it doesn't begin to tell you what I feel for you.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now there's something I want you to do for me.
I'm sorry. Didn't I say what? I thought I said what? What?
I want you to come on this trip with us.
No, sir.
I can't do this alone. I'm afraid he's going to pull out this old stiff one eye. You'd chaperone. Everything would be separate except for cars. Besides, you said you like convertibles, and this puts me on the hook.
I'm sorry. The stiff one eye?
2 days.
I can't. I work.
You get off whenever you want.
My son.
Billy said he's doing just fine.
Melvin, I'd rather not.
What does that have to do with it?
Funny, I thought it was a strong point.
She writes me a thank you note. Oh, and ain't she sweet? But I need a hand in where'd she go?
Are you saying accepting your help obligates me?
Is there any other way to see?
No.
Yeah. Mr. Say, it's very quiet, it's hard to hear because they're trying to play it down film levels. All right. Initial response. Any directors have something they'd like to see?
I'd like to see more awkwardness between the characters and a little more time between the lines, just a little bit.
All right, time between the lines, that's a technique that is now in Hollywood. That is the way it's done. You have these long lines. It has grown in the last 10 years. It has grown. It helps a lot in editing, and it has become the technique. It has become the style. I mean, so you need to learn that. Styles change, techniques change, but that is the current style. And so he's expressing to him it doesn't look right without it. Also, he wants more awkwardness. So, how would you get, good, thank you. How would you get more awkwardness from these actors?
She needs to move around a lot more, instead of standing right next to him in the same spot the entire time. Like she's trying, I mean, she moved a little bit, but she was just basically standing there and they were talking for the majority of the piece.
More space between the characters.
More space, more movement. Do these express awkwardness?
Maybe suggest that
Space does.
as she's reading the letter to him, he has terrible body odor. She's trying to be as pleasant as possible, but it's just horrible for her to be there and standing around him.
You mean not literally, but that's the way she should act. This is, are you Drew's partner? No. This is what's in Sanford Meisner's terminology is known as an as if. It's as if he has terrible body odor. So, if you would, that's one possibility. Anything else? We're going to pick one or two of these and try them out. Yes, sir.
He could have another activity. He could be doing something else at the table, perhaps, than just completely paying attention to her the whole time.
Definitely. This is where right away. This is the first time where a good activity would work. Meisner calls them independent activities. And you know, it was 10 years before I ever asked him, why do you call it an independent activity? I just accepted it. That's what I was taught when I was a student. Now we were working the independent activities, and you had to come up with some activity. And it was after 10 years, I asked, why do you call it the independent activity? And he says, because it doesn't have to have anything to do with esteem. I never really quite realized that before, that it doesn't. If you come home to tell your sister that her husband has been killed in a car wreck, she's not going to be getting dressed for a funeral. The activity can be anything, and you would want to pick something. Let's pick one. Let's pick an activity. Let's go with this one. You got a cell phone? Mm-hmm. You text? Mm-hmm. All right, great. When she starts talking, text somebody. Now, here's the thing about activities. You can't just pick just any old activity. And you can't do just any old thing. Activities have these three qualities. They're difficult to do, they're almost impossible to complete, and they're very important to you, the actor. Difficult to do doesn't mean like, boy, it's just so hard for me to admit to her that I'm gay. I don't know what to do. That's not difficult. That might be hard in here, but it's not a difficult thing to do. The activity should be something difficult to do. For example, if he were going to text, it'd be a lot better if he were a guy who couldn't do this without even looking at the phone. It'd be better if he was a guy who had to see the A, that's the one, let's see the S, where is the S? That would be a little better, because it's difficult for him to do. Has to be almost impossible to complete. That's for only one reason. That's so it won't be over before the scene ends. And important to the person, that's very important, because for this actor to be able to demonstrate or to show or make us feel anything, they need to be doing something that's important. If they're not, we don't care. It becomes, you don't even notice it maybe. Two activities that I saw over the years that were really fantastic. Very simple. One was the woman is telling her husband that she had an abortion. Now, what kind of activity could he have where she tells him she had an abortion and didn't tell him? And he's got all his dialogues like, it's my fucking baby! That's his dialogue. How could you do this? It's mine! And this guy came up with this activity, which was, he knew what she was going to say. He's been knowing this. He suspected it. He knew what she was going to say. His anger was built all right. But what he was going to do, he was going to videotape her telling him that. That's kind of a simple activity. But he just had that camera and he says, okay, what do you want to say? And he had this camera and he put that on her. And when she was going to have to say what she was going to have to say, she did not want to be looking at the camera. And when she tried to avoid it, he didn't let her. That was an extremely interesting scene. Extremely interesting. Very simple, meant something to her, meant something to him. difficult to do because she kept trying to avoid him. The other one was very, very simple. I don't even usually allow this kind of activity. But this girl, she was polishing shoes. And I said, what's difficult about that? And she said, my dad is in there in the coffin, and he liked his shoes to be perfect. They were not just polished, they were perfect. There was not even little scrap dust in between, down between the sole and the shoe. Everything had to be perfect. And that's what she was doing while the scene was taking place. This is what she was doing. And I swear, man, that was one of the most moving things you've ever seen. You don't even know really what, it had nothing to do with what he was saying to her. But for her, that was why she wasn't listening to him.
But didn't it kind of, in the sense where she's reaching out for emotion from her father, this attachment, while this other emotion's going on?
No. Because you only do an independent activity until something makes you stop it. It's the same with anything. Whatever I'm feeling, you do it until something else makes you change it. And so you hope that you're going to be able to put this scene together in such a way that whatever he has to say is going to make her stop that. You hope the scene is that important. If she's trying to apologize or trying to read this letter, and he's doing the cell phone, and she's trying to, it's very important for her to get him to accept this apology, or is it apology, or a thank you, trying to get him to accept this thank you, and it's very important to her. She will do what she has to do to get him to do that. And then when she does, then he quits doing that.
Right, that moment.
Yeah. So each moment has a meaning of its own, and you have to design it so that it doesn't intrude to avoid, to keep from showing what you, the director, want to show.
Right, and add to it, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. It gives the actor a tremendous emotional input right away. And then as soon as something makes them stop it, they can, then this actor then would have to respond to what it was that she did that made him stop doing it. He has to respond to that. Now it's a new moment. All right? So let's try that one, okay? An independent activity, you keep some distance in between. Now, my next question is, what are you doing?
What am I doing in the very beginning, when I stopped to ask him?
When you first started reading the note, what are you doing?
I want him to know how thankful I am. I want him to, because that's what I want. I want him.
See what she said there? She said, I want him to know that's what I want.
I want him to know that I'm thankful.
That's what you're going as the director. That's the first thing she said to me. I want him to know that's what I want. So be specific. Beg him. Yeah, beg. Plead. Don't do it like this. But plead for him to please listen to this, what I have to say to you here. It's just very specific. It's to the point. It is what I am doing is pleading. Okay, so let's start with that. Keep some distance. Plead. Do your activity.
From the very top?
Pardon?
From the very top?
Yeah, from the very top.
Okay. Everything okay? Anything else?
Yes. I'm driving my queer neighbor to Baltimore.
Why did you say that?
Because
It was in the text. That's why you said
I don't know how to relate with people, and so I just say the first thing that comes out of my mouth. And it shocks her a little bit.
So is that what you're trying to do, shocker?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see that. You stand just a little bit further up front here, excuse me
Okay.
for touching
No,
you.
it's fine.
A little further front here so we can see him. All right, so you don't have to look at him. You're very insecure around him, right? They want you to show more insecurity. Then one way to show it is don't really look at him, and then say what you want to say, and then respond, shocker. Shocker with that. One more time from the beginning,
Okay.
then we'll get to the pleading part, okay?
Okay.
That's 2 moments, specific moments.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. I'm driving my queer neighbor to Baltimore.
Okay.
Hey. That thing I did for you. How's that working out?
Get the phone out.
What you did
Don't look at her. Do the phone.
changed my life.
Don't look at her. Okay.
No.
She made you. She made you. See, she made him give up the activity. But wasn't that more interesting? I mean, right away, he's got something specific to do. The insecurity that you wanted is there. She has to demand his attention. He's got something to do other than sit and look. It works, okay? One more time from the top and do those things. Get your phone out just like you did there at that time. Now, whoever's doing continuity has to write down. Gets his phone out when she says, all that kind of stuff. Continuity's got to be very, very good.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. I'm driving my queer neighbor to Baltimore.
You didn't shock her. You didn't shock her. Say it again. Shock her with it.
I'm driving my queer neighbor to Baltimore.
Okay.
Hey. That thing I did for you. How's that working out?
Phone rings. Phone rings.
What you did changed my life.
No. No, thank you.
What I was saying, in this entire history of my life, which you won't read, is that somehow you have done more for my mother, my son, and me than anyone else ever has. And that makes you the most important, surprising, generous person I've ever met, and you will be in our daily prayers forever.
Love.
I also wrote one part, I was
Okay,
saying,
so now, let's try it again. It's from when you first bring out the note. She makes you put the phone down, stop that message, close the phone. When she starts again, don't look at her. Look, try this even. This is blocking. Don't look at her until you absolutely have to. Even if you're saying to her, I have to drive my queer neighbor to Baltimore, don't look at her. And so you can talk to actors like that because you're not telling them how to feel anything or anything. It's blocking. You need that for certain camera shots, certain lighting, for whatever. It can be, who knows what the reasons are. So feel free to do that. But don't look at her until she makes you.
Okay.
All right, and then as soon as you possibly can, oops, another call, go right back to that. And how does that make you feel? When you say, look, this is the most important thing in my life, he goes, oh, how does that make you feel?
hurt? Opening myself up to him, and he's ignoring me.
All right.
That's my feelings.
All right, so then what do you do?
I'm gonna get his attention again. I want to get him to listen to me.
It's called dominating. I'm going to dominate. My next moment is to dominate. And it might be a small domination, but it is to dominate. So do that. Make him listen, which is what you did. But I'm asking you to be specific about it now. All right? Be specific. Start up to, so we hadn't even gotten to the bag of plead yet. So dominate. This is a new moment that's been added. Actors can keep up with these things. They can do them over and over and over again, especially if they're very specific. All right, one more time.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. I'm driving my queer neighbor to Baltimore.
Okay.
Hey. That thing I did for you. How's that working out?
What you did
Oh.
changed my life.
No. No, thank you.
Well, part of what I said in this entire history of my life, which you won't read,